vitamin C, because I don't is there, do you hear that noise? Because I hear that noise and it's quite disturbing.
Everybody has their phones on. Please switch off the phones. Rekha, you need to, Harish, and you need to move apart.
Okay, so again, water, as we discussed last time, hydration. So we talked about that we can add something to the water. So I'm putting it in the water, one tablet of vitamin C. I have told you previously, and I talked about it, that while you want to boost your immune system, you should do it with 1,000 milligrams. And the second thing I have also wanted to show you is this, right? It's the hand sanitizer. We should use it all the time at home. I have 2. So I hope you are doing the same and you are using it. Okay, start the presentation as it is. Next slide, please.
Next slide.
So here I wanted to introduce you to what we can see as a wind direction, what should be seen as a wind direction, and our courses, because I don't know if you all are aware how many varieties we do have. Today we're going to be focusing on upwind and downwind. So just for you to know which courses we're going to talk about, and those are the closed haul and close reach, one broad reach. Those are the courses today we're going to discuss as talking about downwind and upwind. Next slide, please. So, couple of things too, because I don't know, I can't assume if you all have that vocabulary of English expressions regarding sailing. So this is a little bit to help you understand what we're going to talk about. I want you to focus on 3 things at the moment. First is the luff. So look where the luff is. The telltales are, if you have ever heard in English the telltale expression, those are the those lines on the sail which show you how are you sailing compared to your upwind wind. And because I'm using it, also look what the sprit is. The sprit, okay? Centerboard, I think you know, rudder, you know, and the rest you will be able also to see, learn more from that picture after I give you the presentation to your coaches, and you can also discuss it in your smaller groups, if you of course need it. Next slide, please. So let's start about how to go upwind on the Optimist and in Laser 47. There are many pictures which you can find. You will also see them a little bit later. You can find on the internet. Pro sailors, not pro sailors, and those pictures are showing people hiking actually, right? So even that you see them, it's good to discuss what's actually where we are aiming, what we are aiming for, what is the good posture, what is the good how you should stretch, and how you should position yourself to hike good. I used a couple of my old pictures as well. I was a good memory back. So hiking upwind, as you can see the arrow, the black arrow on the picture, and you have that keep the butt up. It's quite important. It's quite important not only because while keeping the butt up, you are also stretching a little bit, so you're making your body in one layer, right? It's not bended like this, but it's more stretched. But you also move the force, which we're going to talk a little bit later, the force of the hiking. So your hiking is more efficient because you move out of the boat. That means you can sheet more, and that means you can go higher and faster. Speaking of hiking, keep the hips lifted as high as possible to create a straight line with your core. That we discussed. Lift the butt, we discussed. Swing your body back and forth, especially on the waves. That's really important. You know, I assume while racing on the lakes and sometimes on the flat water here in the bays, you didn't in the bays, I mean in different type of bay, you didn't have those waves. So you don't maybe know what I'm talking about, but if you will approach them, then you will remember that we actually discussed moving like that in our class. So what I'm saying is that when you have a boat, this is your front and this is your back, and the wind is approaching from to me. It's the wind direction is to me. So you are working with your body like this, hop, hop, here. Every time on the wave, you should be working with your body. So not just going out, right? Not just here. This is your hiking position. I'm talking like this, hop, hop, hop. Why? This is very important because by doing those movements, you control the heel of the boat. So the boat does that. And when the wave approaches, wave is coming. So instead of directly hitting your bow and stopping the boat, and it's a little bit less messy in laser because laser has that sharp bow, so it's not so damaging. But for Optimist, it's a very important thing. So when the wave is coming, hop, you are moving the body backwards, which is lifting a little bit the bow, and suddenly the wave comes below the bow. And that actually is very, very crucial. On the long upwinds, it will give you many, many meters more in your speed. So you will be able to gain meters a lot. Next, pull with your back to the side on the wave top. So that's one movement. When the wave comes in, and the wave is coming here, you pull the back. I mean, you pull back, you push hop like this to pull the bow up, right? Lift the bow, sorry. The wave is starting to get below the boat, and suddenly you are on the top of the wave. And then, because you are on the top of the wave, then the pressure comes also on the sail. So then you push very strongly with your back, hop. That's one movement more to the side, just straight to the side. So you push like this, hop, that direction against the wind. That helps you also to slide a little bit on the wave, or that helps you to make the mast straighter, and that helps you also, that allows you to get that main sheet more in your hand. By that you will be going faster and higher. Remember that less heel means better, always less heel. So this is actually, at the picture you can see that this is the maximum heel you should be having in strong winds. I know sometimes you have more, but you should try to make it as, this is not flat. At the picture, it's not flat, it's already heeled. And this is, I would say, this is the maximum heel you should be looking for. Every heel more, it's just stopping your boat. Keep the boat as flat as you can, we discussed. Adjust the mainsail trim to your hiking capabilities. So while you're working with your body like this, to the back and also to the side, you can all the time sheet, you should be working all the time with the mainsail. Hiking is painful. If it doesn't hurt, it means you do push. You don't push enough, right? It's true. I know it's very painful. I was there as well, so I remember that pain, especially in your legs. That's why I put that picture of this strongman over there, just to let you know that those muscles there, those leg muscles are very important. You should practice them from the very beginning, because more you push, more you hike, stronger you do it, faster you go. Train the legs muscle to endure longer. Now that's obvious, but if you're willing to compete with your sailing team members, right? So sometimes you can see that someone is going faster, and you wonder why is it that he's going faster and why. So that technique on the upwind may be the clue. Maybe if you are not active, try to be as active as possible and make your body strong enough to do it. One thing you should also remember, of course, we have to remember that you can pump and do those active movements, of course, when the wind allows you to. So when the strength is enough for you not to be penalized by the rule 42. Next slide, please. Speed and sail trim upwind. So while you are going upwind, and especially in the conditions when the wind is not strong, like not very strong, you don't have to be all the time working. You have more time then to focus on the crucial things, the things that are very important, and those we can point out here in that picture. So look at the wind device, which is on the left bottom corner, right? And also the tails. So the tails I've given to you, that picture on the left, those lines, right? Those are the tails. And they are actually showing you, telling you when your sail is properly trimmed to your apparent wind angle. So when actually the angle of attack is the best, means when the boat sail the fastest actually. Observe the luff and the leach. The leach is the back of the sail, the luff is the front of the sail. So as you have those two arrows over there, the black ones, they are showing you which points you should be actually directing your gaze. You should be looking all the time. So you're looking a little bit up at the wind device, and then a little bit down on the luff and the tails all the time, hop, hop, hop. You have to have it with your eye all the time to know that you are having the best speed. Align the tails, we discussed that. Use compass. Boys and girls, I know that it's not the cheap thing to have a compass. And actually, when I was beginning to sail, I didn't have that as well, because it's not the most crucial thing. I know, I understand. But if you think about good tactics, and if you want to be better, if you want to improve your level and get that more performance, then compass is actually very, very important. Very. And it's not easy. It's not easy to understand, to learn how it works. So sooner you do it, the better for you. I'm very sure. Remember to adjust the sprit tension accordingly to the wind. That's also important. That's also important, because the sprit, so that metal thing which goes through your sail, right, to tension the sail, you can go back later on. You can go back to the picture of the boat to see what is what. That sprit tension has to be adequate, because if it's too tight, then it's destroying the shape of the sail. If it's too east, it's also destroying the shape of the sail. So it has a very big impact. That's why that sprit tension is very important. You should learn to change it also during the race. That's true. That's true. If you, of course, that's not for laser for 7. You don't have the sprit, but everything else is the same. Everything else except the sprit is the same. You have the kicker. You have the outhaul, right? You have tails. So just accept the sprit. Everything else is also going for the laser. Next, adjust the boom wang kicker to hold more pressure. Deepen the sail a bit and control the trailing sail edge tension. So if you go to the leech, that arrow, black arrow to the leech, so this is the trailing edge. That edge, the end of the sail is called the trailing edge. It's very important not to have it too deep, but a little bit close, and you can do it either by pulling the main sheet very tight, which I don't advise. It's better to have it a little bit flexible, the main sheet, but hold it by the kicker. So the device in front of the boat between the mast and the boom. That's the boom, mast, that's the kicker, the vang. Control the belly with outhaul. Belly is very important because it gives you a lot of power in conditions when you need it. It can inflict also the shape of your trailing edge, so of the back edge of the sail. And during the conditions, you should change it as well. It's not like fixed. You don't go on the water and just leave it like that. You all the time try to work with it. So in the very, very light wind, you want to have it slightly less, so slightly tighter outhaul to have the belly smaller. So the sail is actually slimmer. But then when you have already like 6, 7 knots, you can deepen it to get more power, more pressure. That's when you actually don't hike too much still, right? So you want to have that extra performance. And then again, in stronger winds, so 12, 14, 16 knots, you are trying to get it again slimmer, less depth. Position your body and swing from front to back to keep the bow at the perfect height. We discussed that. So now you can see that those two bows at the picture, they are okay, right? They are okay, they are fine. But you will see pictures, especially in the wave, that the boat is actually like hitting the wave. The wave is like this, and the bow is hitting the wave. Now that's a very big stop. That's a very big boom, and the boat is just stopped. You have to make it move again. So to prevent that, you have to go hop, lift with your body, lift the bow, and then go above the wave. Next slide, please. Tacking upwind tips. Look at the picture. This is a good example of how you should be tacking. The distance, look at the green, please, green arrows. The distance is perfect at the moment. The heel here is okay. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's fine, right? I can see from that face of the sailor, like he's very focused, and he wants to push the boat. He's active, he's a fighter. That is good. So in that last moment when he wants to decrease, squeeze the boat, he's gonna do it active. And look at the left hand, he has it on the main sheet, right? So he's gonna pull the main sheet while he's gonna squeeze the boat, which is everything here. That picture is appropriate. Remember a couple of tips. So remember to hold the rudder straight. That's actually very important. You will see the small example in the downwind when I will talk about it. But when you make a turn, when you make a tack, I didn't do it. So when you make a tack, you're going on starboard and you're making a tack. So I want you to make that curve, okay? So the rudder is slightly hop, you push windward, boom. Now you control the rudder to make it very nice on the proper course on your closed hole, and then you squeeze to the end. This is bad. So if you do like this, like very strong pull with the rudder, it's the same for the jibe and the same for the upwind. It's bad. Why? Because by doing a strong pull with the rudder, you are just stopping the boat. So the boat stops, turns, and goes again. If you're gonna go do it smoothly, right? I'm not saying you have to do it in half a minute. It's just that small difference to make it a little bit curve and being precise, and then just to make it like that. This is bad. You have to make it precise. Okay, next, when you squeeze the hull after tack, pull the mainsail sheet simultaneously. That should be obvious, but it's a tip as well. Control the heel so it's not too big. It's very important. You'll see in the next picture why. When you squeeze the boat, it is important to position yourself as much in the front as possible. That's a good clue, because some of you can, like, if that's the boat, you are making a tack, hop, and now you're gonna go with your body to squeeze the boat, and you are actually pulling on the back, like you are working here, then it's gonna have 50% less impact than if you're doing here. So you should be moving your body as much forward as possible, and while you are squeezing the boat, you're pushing also with your body forward. That will give you an extra boost, an extra energy to move the boat forward. Next slide, please. So this is the first picture on the left with the heel. Look at the rudder. Look at the rudder. The rudder is actually lifted. It's in the air, which is not good. It's not good. You are losing control. And what will happen is that when you will squeeze the boat, right, the boat will luff. It will go to the wind. And so instead of making a tack, position yourself on the proper course and just squeeze to make a boost forward, you will squeeze the boat, but the boat will automatically go to the wind. It will hop, move to the wind, and that's going to be a loss. So that's why the heel is important. Next picture on the top. Now you can see what we discussed about the bow. So as you go on the waves, right? You go on the waves and you work with your body all the time to make it hop nicely. So look at the bow now. The bow is like this. This is the water and the bow is like this. So you are just making a very big drag. This is not a good position. You would like to have it all the time smooth. So now you can see the picture showing you how not to sit, especially it doesn't matter. It's on all courses, upwind, downwind, doesn't matter. It's just slowing the boat. And the last picture, bottom corner on the right, you can see two examples of hiking. So the tip shows the good hiking, right? The good, it's the sailor, it's an Indian sailor, and he's trying or she is trying to pull the boat. So she's moving out of the boat, while the ex-sailor is just sitting. So while you are just sitting, you will never get that speed, you will never get that extra performance which you want in the racing. Next slide, please. This is also, this is left picture shows you perfect example of the tack. It's very good. Look at the tails, everything is there. The angle is there, rudder is in the water, the heel is perfect. The gaze of the sailor, that sailor is already looking in front. He's looking in front, he's looking at the sail, he's focusing. He already has the big picture. Very good, super. That's a very good position to finish the tack. Right picture on the corner, on the top one. So this is the force which we talked about. Look how far that girl is hiking, how far outside she is. So if she is so far aside, she can pull more main and the boat will just go higher and will go faster and it will go higher. Look how she's very, very strongly hiking. I know it's difficult, I know it's painful, but the more you can hold that kind of posture, it's better for you. The bottom picture, our Indian friend, this is, I understand he's also short. It looks like he is short, so it's not easy for him to stretch as much, but still that kind of position, so going low, when this is the edge, so going like this, you should be trying to stretch, not to go here, because then your effort is missing. You're missing the potential force which you can create by going as far out as possible. Next picture. Next slide, sorry. Upwind, most crucial summary. Stay active while on the course, work with your body. Look at the sail to get the best speed and observe the bow for the perfect position. We discussed that. I think it's a very important thing and it will give you additional speed when you want to. Stretch while hiking, right? Don't heel the boat too much while tacking, right? Don't be afraid to change the sail trim if you think it's necessary. So the sprit tension, right? We discussed that. The sprit tension, it's the sail has to be powerful all the time, as powerful as you can manage it. So if you see that the shape is not that, change it. Even in the race, it's going to still be better. Don't be afraid to change. When you are climbing a bigger wave, luff slightly and push with your back. So while you are doing that climbing thing, you can also slightly move your rudder to luff. So while you're climbing, you luff a little bit and then hop again. On the wave, you start to slide down. But that's a little bit more, that's a next level. So don't worry about that. Try to keep the boat as flat as possible, right? Flat is good, heel is bad. Next slide, please. Okay, before we talk about downwind, I wanted to show you something. Look at the two pictures.
Hi, Tom, can we just stall a little bit? Just some questions have come up and some from the participants and some which I think are important.
Okay, but shouldn't we do it after 40 minutes?
In these breaks, when you're doing the summary, we'll just do the quick answer to the question because they're related to the first part of your talk.
Sure, okay, let's go.
First question from Shraddha Verma is, should we do some rudder movement while we see the wave coming to our boat's head? So you've just answered it, but you can probably just repeat it.
Yeah, so okay, so if it's a small wave, no. If it's just a very like it depends, everything it depends on the wave. If it's like this, no, you don't do a rudder movement. If it's like this, yes. So if the wave is big, I don't know if it's let's assume it's like this, right? It's a big wave. So while climbing it, you can go a little bit steer out, rather out, right? To go left, to go hop. And then when you are here, come back on the proper course, push the boat, push with your body, I mean, to the side, and then try to slide fast on the wave. So when you are on the top, go a little bit more down, so you gain that extra speed. And then again, when you are climbing the wave, you can go a little bit more to the wind. You can laugh a little bit, but those are small movements. It's not like this. I'm saying hop, pull, and come back. Hop, pull, and come back. Precision. Because every time you do this, you are creating, the rudder does that, and it's creating eddies. The water flow then is broken, and it's worse than when you do precise movements. Next question.
Please tell us the importance of a flat boat, and how do we know if a boat is super flat or not in the opti? How do we know that the boat is super flat?
You have to feel it. You have to feel it. You have to feel that the water is touching, the boat is touching the surface of the boat is touching the surface of the water. But ladies and gents, we are talking about normal wind and most common conditions. At some conditions, in very light wind, I mean very light wind, you want to do the same as in the downwind, which we're going to discuss now. So instead of this position is the most common one, and we want to have it as most of the cases. In very light wind, you want to move your body front. You want to even lean with your chest, lean as far as possible, and heel a little bit. Not like this, not like this. It's just a little. So water, hop, heel, and then continue upwind, and continue like this, but only in light winds. Whenever you can pull the sail and you feel that the power is already like overwhelming, right? So you have to sit on the edge and then again go flat. So that heel is just for light winds. Let's say 5 knots. When it's 6 knots, you should already think about deepening the sail, right? Adjusting the sail shape so it's very powerful, and then go outside. Next question.
Next question. In the opti, in survival conditions, when a light wind sailor cannot manage a boat too well, let's assume 17 plus knots, what does the sailor need to do?
Everything depends on your sail and your trim. When I was quite heavy on Optimist, so I was using very powerful sails, very powerful, very deep. But the main change you can actually do, you should have 2 sails. One sail especially for the lighter crew, but it's on the other hand for heavy crew. So you can ask the question on the opposite side, what the heavy crew can do in light winds. Again, you should be adjusting your sails and the trim for the conditions. If you are a light sailor and you have a very powerful sail and you wish to go in the strong winds, you won't be able to. And I know.
Let me just add something to this, if you don't mind, and that is in survival conditions, which means if you simply cannot handle the breeze, well, normally the first thing you do is bring your centerboard up halfway if you want to make sure that you can survive. The next thing, if it gets even worse, is to let go of your spirit. Thanks, Tom. Sorry for interrupting, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's those are the cases, true. But I would add a little. Thanks for that comment, because it's very useful. So, but this is, as you can imagine, this is already losing a performance, right? So I'm trying to let you. All the time trying to let you know what you should do to be the top, right? To be to be as good, as fast as possible, pointing as much as possible, and so on. So if you're gonna ease the split, yeah, that's true. That's gonna decrease the pressure on the sail, but it's gonna destroy your performance. If you're gonna lift the center board too much, yes, you have to lift it. But if you're gonna lift it too much, the boat is gonna go sideways, right? So first of all, you have to try to adopt the trim for it. I exactly know what you are talking about. I had 2 sets of sails and I made that mistake. So I take a sail, deep sail, and then one day we had very strong conditions. And normally I was winning those races easily. And I couldn't. That particular time I couldn't because the sail was just too powerful, too deep, and lighter teams, lighter crews were much faster than I was because they had the slimmer sail, good shape, and they were just letting the wind out of it without easing the split. This is a very good, if it's very strong. If you feel, so this is a good advice. If you already feel that you did what you could and then it's still too powerful, then yes, you can of course ease the split and make the pressure less.
There's a question come from Harshita Tomar. And what time should we set the spirit before at what point should we set the spirit? Before the leeward mark or after the leeward mark? It's obviously downwind leg and leeward mark, so.
It depends, because if you feel, if the wind is very strong, right, you should actually do it while you see it. Because it's not, are you able to predict how the sail will look like exactly? I don't know. So it's better to go on the course, right? And then on the course, look at it, judge it, and by that, make changes. Of course, if you see that sailing upwind, you already have a very tight spread, then you can change it before entering the downwind. But it's also how your technique works, because some of the sailors will find it easier to ease the split while you're still sailing upwind, and some of the sailors will find it easier while making it downwind. It's about how you feel, how you find it. But adjusting the sail and the split is very important, for sure.
Some of the questions actually are pretty complex, and I think we will do a intensive optimist. This is the basics. I think we will start having advanced topics. I mean, there's a question from Dawood Qureshi, which says that what is the rake of the mast? That's very complex because it depends on the weight of the sailor, wind conditions, etc. So we'll leave that question for the time being. I think we'll go on with the presentation. Just a warning to everybody that I think this presentation is going to go on for longer than expected. So hold your horses. And Tom,
let's try to make it in 1 hour. We have 25 minutes. I will try to make it in 15 for the downwind, and then we can go with the questions. Rake 274 to 298 if you are very heavy. Okay, but sticking 274, but again, look at it just a short. How you measure? Maybe my technique is different than yours, so we have to, like Mr. Sukim explained, that's a little bit complex question. So let's leave it for next. If you have any questions, I'm very open. If you have any questions, you can go through your coaches, go for Mr. Sukim, go to me, and I will try to make it. You can even call me. It's not a problem, really. Okay, let's going back to the presentation. So this is crucial. Now, those 2 pictures, I wanted to show you to understand the difference. Which boat will sail quicker and why? Do you know? 1 or 2? No, you should be writing answers, but I don't see the chat. So sorry. So of course number 2, right? Of course number 2. We know, we saw it. We saw movies. We saw it in life. Thanks to special foil construction. So number 2 picture, special foil construction. One of them has much lesser wetted surface. It's quite obvious, right? Because the boat is not actually touching the water. So the wetted surface is the surface that the boat slides on the water. So if it's up, it doesn't have a wetted surface. It's only the foil, which is inside, excuse me, which is inside the water. So its drag force is way smaller. The drag force, It's only the basic. There are a couple of forces included, but only the drag force we're going to discuss now. So the drag force, it's much smaller because of the wetted surface, right? So there's nothing in going through the water. So there's no drag. There's nothing like pushing you back. Not a big thing. That's why the picture 2 is going to be much faster. Now think, why do we heel the boat to windward on the down courses? No, now you have the answer, right? While seeing those 2 pictures and why we explain, you have the answer. Yes, despite our sail being higher, because you are lifting the sail, our wetted surface is smaller. We are doing it to minimize the wetted surface of our boat. That's exactly why you lift the boat, to have that piece of the boat above the water surface, right? But it only works downwind at all conditions. It only works downwind at all conditions, and work upwind only in very, very light winds. When you have, like we discussed, above 6 knots, but that's complex. So don't ask why. I mean, if you ask why, that's going to be a very, very long explanation, and that includes physical forces and a lot of more discussion. So let's just assume that heel, upwind, up to 6 knots, light wind. You can try, of course, but it's light wind, downwind, all the conditions, almost all the conditions. If you lift, if you heel the boat, it's good. Next slide, please. Downwind boats, handling and trim. Lift the dogger board quickly after mark rounding. Obvious, right? We do it. All of you do it. Laser does it. Optimist does it. Many 470 does it. Many boats does it because it's crucial for downwind. The amount of the lift depends on the course you sail, stability, and technique. Short comments. So while you're going straight downwind, let's say 170, 160, right, downwind on the starboard. So if you want to heel the boat, wind is that direction, right? So we are sailing downwind. So when you are going, let's say you're going on port, and you are lifting the boat, centerboard is up. So stability, I mean that this is happening, up, up, up. You have if you pull too much of the centerboard, you will feel that the boat is very unstable. So whenever you move with your body, the boat just hop, 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 does this. It means that already the centerboard is too high. Try to make it a little bit in, and then see if when you lift, it's stable. When in the moment it's starting to feel that the rudder and your body is quite okay, that's the position of the centerboard for you. Ease the main sheet, but boom maximum 19 degrees. It's very important. That example will be in next pictures. Ease the kicker, boom, bang. Obvious, right? Because upwind, you're making the leech tighter by making the sail deeper by pulling the vang and kicker. And downwind, you want to ease it to make the leech a little bit more flexible, but not too much. So when you have the boom, this is the boom and this is the mast, right? So downwind, when you're sailing downwind, you don't want the boom to come like this. So this is the leech here. This is the edge of the sail, right? So you don't want to, this is the vang, right? So you don't want to ease that vang so the boom comes like this. Because then suddenly you are decreasing, so you're making the sail smaller. It doesn't work good. You just want to ease it a little bit so that leech is breathing, it's flexible, but don't do it too much. It has to be very precise. Of course, you will learn it while trying. Trying is always the best. In light wind, you can ease the sprit tension and outhaul. In light wind, the outhaul in light wind, because it's quite in stronger wind, it's not worth it. I would not advise it. So it's only for winds between 3 and let's say maybe 12 knots, but not more. And the sprit, as we discussed before, it's only when you need it to. Sometimes the sail is just perfect as it is, and you don't have to ease it because you ease it. Just look at the sail, judge it. If there is no big tension on the sail through the middle, it means it's fine. Heel the boat to windward and keep it stable. Don't swing. It's very important to master that technique. So while you are heeling the boat, keep it that way. Heel as much as possible and don't come back, because whenever you come back, you are destroying. When you have the sail and the sail does this, right? You are doing, the boat does this and the sail comes with the boat. So whenever you do it, all the flow on the sail is disturbed and you are losing by that. So you have to go the heel as big as possible and as stable as stable. More stable you are, the better, because the boat will just move. All the forces, all the wind you will get is just going to move forward. There will be no loss. How your body forward, move your body forward, especially in light wind conditions. We already discussed it, right? So in upwind, the same. You have to move forward. Why? Because in very light wind, we are talking very light, because not only you can decrease your wetted area by heeling, but while moving forward, you can also lift the bow a little bit. Here, that piece of your boat can slightly move up, and if you can do it, it's good. It is going to have a good impact on your speed. Work with your body on the waves back and forth. Downwind the same. But now it's more. So while you are hiking, so you move like this, and now when you are downwind, you can move with your chest. Sometimes if you go stronger, you go forward, the bigger chance that you're going to start surfing, and then you can play with the surf on the wave. But that's particularly for wave surfing. When you are on the top of a bigger wave, pump with the body and with the main sheet to slide down the wave. I assume you already did that, but it's also a technique for bigger waves. So you want to get down that wave, right? You want to go down and then start to slide so the wave is pushing you. So to do that, you have to be active. It's not just going to be, sometimes it's enough just to move the rudder, but normally you will have to pull the main sheet, pull with your body. So there's additional pump, additional force, but it has to be very accurate. So if you do it here on the top, it won't work, because you will come here to the side. But if you do it here, so the wave is already behind your bow, and now you will push, now you will give that force, that's a big chance you can actually start to surf. Next slide, please. 15 minutes. Jibing. First, look at those lines below, the black ones, good and bad. So that's what we discussed here in tacking, right? Bad tack, good tack. This is the same with jibe. If you're gonna move the rudder very strong, and if you're gonna go like this on port, and suddenly you're gonna go hop very, very high on starboard, it's not gonna help you. It's not gonna help you. You're gonna lose by that, and it's bad. So that curve has to be very precise. It has to be everything. More precise you do it, it's just gonna be better. Okay, now coming back to the picture, heel the boat to windward and start to turn the rudder. Normally, before making a jibe, you push a little bit on yourself, right? And then you start to turn the rudder to change the course. In the correct moment, strongly pull the main sheet towards you. You pull, you don't have to pull the main sheet. You can also grab all the sheets. I'm not saying you have to pull by the block. Sometimes you can cleat and just pull by all the sheet. How do you say it in English? Tally? I don't know the name. So, but you take all the main sheet, you grab all the main sheet, and you just flip it on the other side. Change the side with your body, creating a pump. But don't jump. That's also important. So don't move like hop, because then you'll create more disturbances than actually a pump. Pump is when you flip the boat and then with very energetic but precise movement, you go nicely and smooth on the other side to only to give that additional force on the sails. The boom can't hit the water after the jibe, can't. Boys and girls, it's a mistake. If the boom hits the water, it means the heel was too big or the curve, the angle was too high. So you should always try not to hit. It should be, that's actually very nice to judge, because if you have it a little bit above the water, it's fine. So you have to, like, you should be having that mark like 10 centimeters above the water, especially in lighter conditions, right? It's lighter. In stronger conditions, you can't judge by that. But in lighter conditions, you can have that 10 centimeters above the water. And if it stops there, super, that's good. Turning should be smooth and gentle. We discussed that already. Next slide, please. Okay, thanks, Harshita. So we can now have a look at laser, a couple of positions. First, top left, that's a good heel. That's a good heel. It's enough. You can see that the right hand is pulling the sheet. So as we discussed, while switching, you're pulling the main sheet to flip the sail, and that heel should stop over there. This is a perfect heel, right? So now when you look at the bottom with that X, now that's a little bit too much. You can see that you have to already react to stop it. Like it's, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So it's too much. Try to keep it always at the level of the first picture. Top right. So this is what I told you about the 90 degrees. So when you are sailing downwind and you have the boom, this is the mast and this is the boom. So while you are easing the main sheet, it should stop at 90 degrees maximum. Mast, boom, 90 degrees. Of course, we are talking about downwind, right? Not reach. Not reach. Reach is different. Downwind. Because whenever you go more, it's already a loss of force. If you go more, if you go angle goes forward, so if it's 100, then you are losing force. It's the direction of the force is not what you want it to be. So what I advise is to make a mark on your sheets, on your mainsail sheets, because then you will know exactly. So you can do it on the shore with your friend to make exactly 90 degrees and make a tape on your, or marker, right, on your mainsail sheet, and then you'll always know, okay, that's the spot. And the last picture on the bottom, this one is showing surfing. It's not maybe showing exactly surfing, but I think Ram is there with Harshita, and Ram is trying to catch the wave. You can see how it's already, the wave is approaching from the back, right? It's approaching from the back, and he's trying to get that extra speed, preparing for that additional push to get a good slide. Next picture, please. Next slide. Staying focused and observing your surroundings is not easy, and it requires a lot of practice. It does, ladies and girls. I understand, and I completely agree with you that it's not easy to hold the boat all the time in the heel, right? To have it stable, and then still to see things, right? To go like this, but keep the boat heeled, right? Keep the boat heeled. It's not easy. So more you practice it, you're gonna be better, and that means you're gonna be also faster. As you can see, the girl over there, our friend sailor, is actually looking at it. So the heel is there, and she's also looking at the sail, probably trying to figure out what's the best now. And the comment below, too much tension on the sprit, too close to the mast, very strong wind set. So I'm just giving you an example of what I mean by tight, too tight, right? So you can see that there is a big tension. There's a tension created by the sprit, and also that corner over there, mast boom corner, it's very tight. That's set for strong wind conditions, like very strong, 17 above knots. Okay, now switching to right corner. Is that position all right? Is it? Answer it to yourselves. Okay, now I'm going to comment. No, it's not. Why? Because that person is sitting too much on the aft. So as we discussed, he is creating a nice heel. Heel is good. Center board is up. Nice. Everything is there. The sail looks quite deep and the angle of the sheeting is probably okay because it doesn't look like more, but he's sitting, but he's sitting here on the aft. So he is doing that additional, he's trying to sink the aft, which is bad. It just creates more drag. So you should be trying to move your body from that position to hop to that position, more in the front, especially in lighter conditions. And the third picture on the bottom, this is to show you what we mean by creating, by heeling the right boat on the right? I have the sail up, and you can see that the line which I created, the green one, is showing you the difference in the sail position. So if you have a higher sail, it means more power you get. More power, more pressure, faster you will go. That's why that proper heel, it's not only about wetted surface, so how much boat touches the water, but it's also about lifting the sail as high as possible to get that extra power. Next slide. Summary: downwind, heel the boat to windward and try to hold it. That's important, not to swing it, not to do that movement. Ease the main sheet, but remember about 90 degrees, right? Make a mark on your main sheet. Turn the rudder gently and precise. Don't do this. Try to be more, curve should be more precise, more gentle. Surf on the waves, try to find your best path. It's always about practice. Every wave can be different. I mean, different day can bring you different wave. So one technique will work in a very long and big wave, but it will not work in a short choppy one, right? So you have to remember that only practice gets you better. And when jibing, the boom can hit the water. That's a very big tip, important. Don't hit the water with the boom. Next slide, please. Now looking at those pictures, I don't know if there's a need to describe it. I don't know if there's any need to actually tell you what you should get from those pictures, but I just wrote 3 things. Please always smile and enjoy what you do. That's the most important thing in everything you do. Is it sailing or is it just live activity? Be happy. Stay positive and healthy. The more happy you are, it also impacts your immune system. So if you are if you don't enjoy what you're doing, that will also probably have a bad impact on your health, on your stamina, and on your immune system. So it's everything is combined, right? Look how happy those 2 people are, and they are already looking healthy. So I know it's Harshita and it's some very nice smiling optimist sailor. If he is there, I'm saying hi.
Yeah, it's from Trishna Sailing Club, Bangalore. Okay.
Keep moving forward and fight for your dreams, right? If you remember what I told you in the first class, the dreams don't come true. They are not just coming true. You have to work. You have to push yourself. You have to work so they actually can come true. You made it. You make them come true. Next slide. Next slide, please. Oh, that's the end of the presentation. Now will be questions. I couldn't resist to show you that picture. Find the coach. That was the 2003 Gran Canaria. Okay.
Left is you. And
sorry?
You're 4th from left.
Yes, 4 from the left.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start asking the questions. A couple of them have come in, and one of them is Now, when you're going downwind, how important is it in light to medium conditions when you're angling the boat to keep the spirit vertical to the water, which means 90 degrees to the water? Because that would probably give you the highest point.
Can you repeat, please?
When you're going downwind, how important is it to keep the spirit boom at 90 degrees angle to the water?
Are you actually able to make it 90 degrees to the water? If it's okay, so I understand the question. It's all about technique, and it's all about the stability. Because more you push, more you squeeze the boat, it's difficult for more you heel the boat. Excuse me. More you heel the boat, it's more difficult for you to hold it. So I would say you have to heel the boat until the moment that the water start to touch that edge. You cannot, of course, heel it so the water gets in. You cannot heel the boat so strong that the water starts to get in, flow in, because that's a mistake. That's already too much, and that will not help you with speed. But if you can hold it as high as possible for as long as possible, it's gonna be very important, and it's gonna give you that additional speed. So it is important, yes.
Okay, next question is from Nane Raja, and my boat goes down. I think this is a laser question. It could be an optic question also, but my boat goes downwind a lot, which means it goes down a lot, which means the bow dips. What to do for that when I'm going upwind? So his boat bow is dipping a lot, laser or optimist. What do I do?
Mm-hmm. That's probably because of the activity you do with your body. So if you have a wavy condition, if I understand the question correctly, if you have a wavy condition, that's what we discussed. So you have to work with it, work with your body. So before the wave is coming, you actually try to pull the body to the back a little bit, but not the butt, not your butt. So you're not jumping on the boat. It's just you are heeling back to lift the bow instead of just hitting the wave. So that's one, you have to work with your body to make it happen. And two, please change the slide. And two, if you have a bad trim, you can also receive that extra. So if you have a mast very far to the front, so if the mast is quite straight, it will also impact the bow. Right? So if you have that rake and it's very much to the front, it will impact the bow more. So you have to think about that if you have it properly adjusted. Next question.
Okay, next question is from Preeta Gopal. In the downwind, if the sailor's weight is less and wind is above, in downwind, if the sailor's weight is less and the wind is above 13 knots and the bow is going into the water, it's pretty much the same, and the boat fills with water, what to do? What would be the sitting position and sail setting? If the boat fills with water, you have to empty out the boat. But what to do to prevent the boat from dipping? I think, Preeta, your question has been answered in the previous question. So anything you want to add, Tom?
I will just give you an example that, especially on the waves again, sometimes at particular waves, I was hiking, taking my feet in the straps and hiking to the back. So that was my position. Can you imagine? So when we are talking about, you should be trying to be as much forward as possible, right? But it's for the flat water in particular conditions. So on the wave, you have to be all the time hop, hop, hop. This is the boat, right? So when the bow is going down on the wave, you should be actually trying to go back and push the boat as hard as possible, just for that moment. I'm not saying you have to go like this all the time. I'm not saying you have to go. I'm wanting to give you an example that when you are actually going down the wave and you see you're gonna hit the wave soon, then it's the moment to hop, to work with your body and to lift the bow. But of course, if your normal position gives you that disadvantage that the bow is sinking, then you have to move it back, right? So it's you have to see it on your own. If the bow is sinking all the time, it means you are sitting too much in the front and you have to move more to the back. But normally you also remember that you can actually, with your chest, with your body, you can pull, you can all the time swing front and back. Next question.
Next question is in the laser. Let's assume you are hiking flat and you have a gust which goes up by about another 5 knots. You have a 5-6 knot additional gust. What's the first thing you should do?
I'm trying always to let you think in advance, right? I told you today that I've made a presentation in advance, which is good because I was ready for today. So it's the same thing is good every time. So when you ask what you can do when the gust comes, first, be prepared. So think in advance. If you are surprised by the gust, so when the gust hits you and the boat already heels and then you are like, oh my goodness, there's a gust, it's too late. So it means you should come back with your thinking, with your focus, and try to find that gust before. So if you already see the gust coming, gust approaching, and you know it's gonna come, right? So you are ready. So you actually, in the moment the gust hits, there will be no hesitation. First, what you do, you pull the boat, you push the body and pull the boat windward, and then you are already you're ready to ease the main sheet. So whenever you're just feeling the boat, whenever you need up, ease it. But if you're gonna be ready for the gust, if you're gonna be anticipating, nothing will happen. Nothing wrong, because you will be just waiting for the moment to either pull with your body or ease the main sheet. But if you go deeper to that question, I will advise first to build speed and then point. So if that was the cause of the question, so if you should change actually the the bow position, so I should, because normally you don't know what the gust will be like exactly. Sometimes it's a lift, sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes it's a header. But first, take it and then be ready to react immediately. But I don't advise to point before the gust, right? I'm advising to get normally in the gust as you would like to have the most pressure, and then when the gust hits, flatten the boat so the boat actually accelerates, and then you can point a little bit inside the gust. You can point a little bit and take the main sheet with you, but don't do it before the gust hits. Next question.
Next question is again from Shraddha Verma. What would you do when you have 2 or 3 chops coming at the same time? Closely knit waves. 3 waves coming at the same time. What do you do?
Very active. Sometimes you have to be very, very active. It depends. If you are optimist, so you have a little bit more time because the boat is shorter, so you can actually, sometimes you can even manage to do like hop, 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 and adapt your body to those waves. Now, if you are laser is longer. So it's not so easy. And if the chop is very short, then there's nothing you can do. If the waves are like this, and there's 1, 2, 3, then you just have to actually try to squeeze the boat just to cut through, right? And then be ready to accelerate after that hit. Because some waves are just not meant to be for up and down. It depends on the length of the wave and its amplitude. So how often it goes. If you have very short free waves, sometimes you just can't do anything. You just have to go through it and then try to accelerate as fast after that hit, accelerate as fast as possible.
Okay, next question is from Deepak Singh Dikit. It is said to keep the boat as flat as possible upwind because it minimizes wetted area. But on downwind, it is recommended to heel the boat to windward to reduce the wetted area. Isn't there a contradiction there? One working against the other.
Again.
So it is said to keep the boat flat as possible upwind because it minimizes wetted area.
So, yes, you are right. Remember when I said it's going to be complex?
The question
There was a moment
that upwind, you keep the boat flat to it doesn't minimize wetted area, but it increases the length of the boat in the water. And
so first of all, I never said that you're going to have flat boat and you're going to decrease the wetted area.
Yeah.
I just said that it's the best position you can have upwind. And then we added that in very light conditions, you want to heel the boat a little bit in very light conditions to decrease wetted area. But upwind sailing, there are many other forces. There you have the hydrodynamic forces if the wind comes like this. So we have hydrodynamic forces working because of the pressure that is happening on the centerboard, and you have aerodynamic forces on the sail. So there are a couple of different types of vectors which you need to include. That's why if you will heel the boat upwind, those forces will cause you their interaction will be not in order, and you will actually go slower. That's the simplest that's the simplest answer I can give it to you. While you go downwind, right? So imagine it that if the wind is coming from the direction all the time we discussed, so actually the wind and the wave hits the centerboard, right? This is the centerboard, centerboard. So it hits. That's why all here and all what is above in the sail, it's interacting. There is a heel caused by by the sail, and hydrodynamic forces are trying to make it balanced, and also your body. But when you go downwind, right? When you go downwind like this, and the wind is here, so the centerboard is aligned with the wind. There is no surface. There is no surface. So the forces in the downwind course are different. And it's basically just the drag and the force of the wind. Have you ever thought about, can you exceed the wind speed? Can the boat go faster than the wind? So the answer is yes, but when? Can the boat go faster downwind? Well, if you go downwind, can you go faster than the wind? No. But if you reach, so if you go 90 degrees to the wind, can you go faster than the wind speed? Yes. And that's exactly also, I'm trying to be as simple as possible. That's exactly because of those forces on the sail and on the below the surface that gives you that additional force, speed force. Downwind, you don't have it. That's why here you decrease the wetted surface, and that's the main part you should be focused on. But upwind, you have so many forces still going on that just to make it simple, let's discuss it, that just to make it simple, above 7 knots, you should try to keep the boat flat. But it's not about wetted surface. It has nothing to do with wetted surface. It's already starting to be the case with hydrodynamics and the aerodynamics.
Okay, last question for the session, and that is, in the laser, you have some new masts and booms which are coming, which are basically carbon fiber based. Is there any advantage in using these spars?
Is there any advantage in
using the new carbon fiber spars which are coming out from the laser, because the aluminum ones are slowly being phased out?
No, the example I can give you, it's happening because we are trying to increase the performance and the longevity, the length of the equipment. So actually, I can say by carbon made masts that they're very their durability is very long. So it will be a better mast, longer you can use it, and if you find a good mast, it will just keep working the same way for longer. In aluminium, if if there is one hit, the mast can already react in the way that it bends and stays bended. It doesn't come. So carbon gives you that extra flexibility. It is vulnerable, so there is a danger that if you actually hit it from the side, like a puncture, then it's going to destroy the surface. But no, we don't have that kind of forces, and unless you damage your own with transport and so on. So simply speaking, the carbon fiber mast should be longer, should be keeping their shape longer, and they should be give you more advantage to perform at 100%. That would be my advice. But actually, I heard about it just now, so it's quite new. I'm only giving you tips regarding for 1749 because that's where I actually know the case. But in laser, that's my assumption.
Okay, guys, thanks very much. I think we're closing the session now. We're going to have Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, same timing, 10 o'clock sharp. We start and finish probably at around 11. It's already 11:15. We've had about 55 participants today. Thanks, Tom. Great session. And I think we will be going into more and more advanced topics. The next topic is actually a very nice one, and that is so many of us are going to be moving from the Optimist and the Laser into the skiffs, which is the 29ers and the 49er FX and the 49er. So the next topic will be very, very interesting. Keep everybody come back. And a lot of people are trying to log in using computer names and mobile names. If that stops, I think that'd be great because we're not allowing anybody else. Thanks very much and all the best to everybody. Stay fit. You can't be on the water now, but stay fit as possible you can. Take care.
Thank you very much, guys and girls. Bye-bye.